we've got the Book of Jasher. We're on chapter 72. We were finishing up how Moses knew his Hebrew origins, but then he also needed to run away from his past indiscretions of defending one of his Hebrew brethren. All right. It was in those days that there was a great war between the children of Kush and the children of the east and Ephraim, and they rebelled against the king of Kush, and in whose hands they were. So Kush, the king of Kush, went forth with all the children of Kush, a people numerous as the sand, and he went to fight against Ephraim and the children of the east, to bring them under subjection. And when Kush went out, he left Balaam the magician with his 2 sons to guard the city, and the lowest sort of people of the land. So Kush went forth to Ephraim and the children of the east, and he fought against them and smote them, and they all fell down wounded before Kush and his people. And he took many of them captives, and he brought them under subjection as at first. And he encamped upon their land, and to take tribute from them as usual. And Balaam the son of Beor, when the king of Kush had left him to guard the city, and the poor of the city, he rose up and advised with the people of the land to rebel against King Kush, not to let them enter the city when he should come home. Yeah, this Balaam guy is not great. But, okay. And the people of the land hearkened to him, and they swore to him and made him king over them, him and his 2 sons for the captain of the army. So they rose up and raised the walls of the city at 2 corners, and they built an exceedingly strong building. And at the 3rd corner they dug ditches without number, between the city and the river, which surrounded the whole land of Kush. And they made the waters of the river burst forth there. At the 4th corner, they collected numerous serpents by their incantations and enchantments. They fortified the city and dwelt therein, and no one went out or in before them. And Kush fought against Ephraim and the children of the east, and he subdued them as before, and they gave him their usual tribute. And he went and returned to his land. And when Kush, the king of Kush, approached his city, and all the captains of the forces with him, they lifted up their eyes and saw that the walls of the city were built up and greatly elevated. So the men were astonished at this. And they said one to the other, "It is because they saw that we were delayed in battle, and were greatly afraid of us. Therefore they have done this thing, and raised the city walls, and fortified them, so that the kings of Canaan might not come in battle against them." So the king and the troops approached the city door, and they looked up, and beheld all the gates of the city were closed. And they called out to the sentinels, saying, "Open unto us, that we may enter the city." But the sentinels refused to open to them, by the order of Balaam, the magician, their king. They suffered them not to enter their city. So they raised a battle with them opposite the city gate, and 130 men of the army of Kush fell on that day. And on the next day they continued to fight, and ever fought at the side of the river. They endeavored to pass, but were not able, and some of them sank in the pits and died. So the king ordered them to cut down trees to make rafts upon which they might pass to them. And they did so, and when they came to the place of the ditches, the water revolved by mills, and 200 men upon 10 rafts were drowned. And on the 3rd day they came to fight at the side where the serpents were, but they could not approach there, for the serpents slew them. By incantations? Maybe they just knew how to make a good home for a snake. Yeah, I guess that could be its own incantation. We're used to magic being this big hullabaloo, alakazam, fireball kind of thing because of things like Dungeons and Dragons. But if you listen to John Butler or Dave Butler or D. John Butler, depending on how you know him, he has his YouTube channel where he discusses the magic that's in Lord of the Rings, and you can see that what it is actually very, very much like folklore magic. It's along the lines of, all right, here's how you get around a graveyard, the barrow, and so you don't attract a barrow wight. You have to go on this side, and you don't look at it, etc. Whereas, or king's foil, it's a regular herb that can be used in the kitchen, but in the hand of a king, the king itself has healing powers. And it's little ritualistic things like that. So it's not something big like fireball and I cast, whatever silliness you want. So, anyways, the snakes. They couldn't get around the snakes. Let's see, the men drowned, serpents slew 170 men, and they ceased fighting against Kush. And they besieged Kush for 9 years. No person came out or in. At that time, the war and the siege were against Kush. Moses fled from Egypt, from Pharaoh, who sought to kill him for having slain the Egyptian. And Moses was 18 years old when he fled from Egypt, from the presence of Pharaoh. And he fled and escaped to the camp of Kikunus, which was at the time besieging Kush. And Moses was 9 years in the camp of Kikunus, king of Kush. And at the time they were besieging Kush, and Moses went out and came in with them. And the king and princes and all the fighting men loved Moses, for he was great and worthy. His stature was like a noble lion, his face like that of the sun, and his strength was like that of a lion. And he was a counselor to the king. And at the end of 9 years, Kikunus was seized with a mortal disease, and his illness prevailed over him, so he died on the 7th day. So his servants embalmed him and carried him and buried him opposite the city gate to the north of the land of Egypt. And they built over him an elegant, strong, and high building, and they placed great stones below. And the king scribed and engraved upon those stones all the might of their king Kikunus, and all the battles which he had fought. Behold, they are written there at this day. Now, after the death of Kikunus, king of Kush, it grieved his men and his troops greatly on account of the war. So they said to one another, "Give us counsel that what we are to do at this time, as we have resided in the wilderness 9 years away from our homes. If we say we will fight against the city, many of us will fall wounded or killed. And if we remain here in the siege, we shall also die. For now all the kings of Aram and all the children of the east will hear our king is dead, and they will attack us suddenly in a hostile manner, and they will fight against us and leave no remnant of us. Now therefore let us go and make a king over us, and let us remain in our siege until the city is delivered up to us." And they wished to choose on that day a man for king from the army of Kikunus, and they found no object of their choice like Moses to reign over them. And they hastened and stripped off each man his garments and cast them upon the ground, and they made a great heap and placed Moses thereon. And they rose up and blew with trumpets and called out before him, and said, "May the king live, may the king live." And all the people and nobles swore to him to give him for a wife Adoniah, the queen of the Cushite wife of Kikunus. And they made Moses king over them on that day. And all the people of Cush issued a proclamation on that day, saying, "Every man must give something to Moses of what is in his possession." And they spread out his sheet upon the heap, and every man cast into it something of what he had, one a gold earring, the other a coin, also of onyx stones, bdellium, pearls, marble. And did the children of Cush cast unto Moses upon a heap also silver and gold in great abundance. And Moses took all the silver and gold and all the vessels and all the bdellium and onyx stones, which all the children of Cush had given to him, and he placed them amongst his treasures. And Moses reigned over the children of Cush on that day, in the place of Kikunus, king of Kush. Chapter 73. So obviously, we don't get this in the Bible. In the Bible, we get that he was, let me go to Exodus here. I thought it was in the desert, and then he found the Midianites. So, him coming to, this is more interesting because it has this big old war story that, you just aren't aware of. But it becomes integral to Moses' story because, well, you get Exodus. All right. Yeah, this is just like Exodus chapter 2. Moses born to Levite parents, raised by Pharaoh's daughter, so he may not have been thought of as being a slave class if the details in the Book of Jasher are right. Slays an Egyptian in defense of an Israelite, flees to Midian and marries Zipporah. And Israel is in bondage and cries to the Lord. So, yeah, we get nothing about him being king of Kush and marrying Adonai. Yeah, that's interesting. In the 55th year of the reign of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, that is the 157th year of the Israelites going down into Egypt, reigned Moses in Kush. And the Lord granted Moses favor and the grace in the eyes of the children of Kush. And the children of Kush loved him exceedingly, so Moses was favored by the Lord and by men. And in the seventh day of his reign, the children of Kush assembled and came before Moses and bowed down to him to the ground. And all the children spoke together in the presence of the king, saying, "Give us counsel that we may see what is to be done to this city. For it is now 9 years that we have been besieging round about the city, and have not seen our children and our wives." So the king answered them, saying, "If you will hearken to my voice in all that I shall command you, then will the Lord give the city into your hands, and we shall subdue it. For if we fight with them as in the former battle, which we had with them before the death of Kikunus, many of us will fall down wounded as before. Now therefore, behold, here is counsel for you in this manner. If you will hearken to my voice, then will the city be delivered into our hands." So all the forces answered the king, saying, "All that our Lord shall command, that will we do." And Moses said unto them, "Pass through and proclaim a voice in the whole camp unto all the people, saying, Thus says the king, Go into the forest and bring with you one of the young ones of the stork, each man a young one in his hand. And any person transgressing the word of the king, who shall not bring you his young one, he shall die, and the king will take all belonging to him. And when you shall bring them, they shall be in your keeping. You shall rear them until they grow up. You shall teach them to dart upon, as is the way of the young ones of the hawk." So all the children of Kush heard the words of Moses, and they rose up and caused a proclamation to be issued throughout the camp, saying, "Unto you all, the children of Kush, the king's order is that you go all together to the forest and catch there the young storks, each man his young one in his hand, and you shall bring them home. And any person violating the order of the king shall die, and the king will take all that belongs to him." So this is the, third, fourth time that we've heard this kind of proclamation. So my question is it a real proclamation, or is it just, it's like, if you guys don't do it, I'm going to ground you forever? Now, is it just an emphasis for them to do it? Or is it a real thing? I don't know. To me, it sounds like a phrase. And all the people did so, and they went out to the woods, and they climbed the fir trees, caught each man a young one in his hand, and all the young storks, and they brought them into the desert and reared them by order of the king, and they taught them to dart upon, similar to the young hawks. So they're taking storks, which I think are fairly large birds, although I'm not sure what their version of a stork is, and teaching them to dive bomb and dart on things. And after the young storks were reared, the king ordered them to be hungered for 3 days. And all the people did so. And on the third day the king said unto them, "Strengthen yourselves and become valiant men. Put on each man his armor, and gird on his sword on him, and ride each man his horse, and take each his young stork in his hand. And we will rise up and fight against the city at the place where the serpents are. And all the people did as the king ordered. And they took each man his young one in hand, and they went away. And when they came to the place of serpents, the king said unto them, Send forth each man his young stork upon the serpents. And they sent forth each man his young stork at the king's order. And the young storks ran upon the serpents, and they devoured them all and destroyed them out of that place. Smart. Very smart. And when the king and the people had seen that all the serpents were destroyed in that place, all the people were set up a great shout. And they approached and fought against the city and took it and subdued it. And they entered the city. And there died on that day 1,100 men of the people of the city, all that inhabited the city. But of the people besieging, not one died. So all the children of Cush went, each to his home, to his wife and children, and to all belonging to him. And Balaam the magician, when he saw that the city was taken, he opened the gate, and he and his 2 sons and 8 brothers fled, and returned to Egypt, to Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And they are the sorcerers and magicians who are mentioned in the book of the law, standing against Moses when the Lord brought the plagues upon Egypt. So Moses took the city by his wisdom, and the children of Cush placed him on the throne instead of Kikunus, king of Cush. And they placed the royal crown upon his head, and they gave for him a wife, Adoniah, the Cushite queen, wife of Kikunus. And Moses feared the Lord God of his fathers, so he came not to her, nor did he turn his eyes to her. For Moses remembered how Abraham had made his servant Eleazar swear unto him, Thou shalt not take a woman from the daughters of Canaan for my son Isaac. So he remembers his lineage stories. Also what Isaac did when Jacob had fled from his brother, when he commanded him, saying, Thou shalt not take a wife from the daughters of Canaan, nor make an alliance with any of the children of Ham. For the Lord our God gave Ham, the son of Noah, and his children, and all his seed as slaves, to the children of Shem, and to the children of Japheth, and unto their seed after them for slaves forever. What? Really? Ham, son of Noah. But that didn't work out because Ham stole the garment from Noah. And that's how it ended up in the hands of Nimrod, the great hunter, which Esau slayed and took the garment back. And that meant it went to Jacob when he sold the birthright. Okay. I'm wondering if this is just, again, to me it seems like this book was written later, like it would have been during the times of 1st and 2nd Kings for some reason. I just get a sense that it'd be around that. I have no idea. I'm not a textual analysis kind of guy, but to me it seems like they're backfilling a bunch of stories from the Genesis with more details. So it'd be really interesting to see if there was stories of Moses and Cush. This sure isn't in Genesis. Therefore Moses turned not his heart nor his eye to the wife of Kikunus, all the days that he reigned over Cush. And Moses feared the Lord in his God all his life. And Moses walked before the Lord in truth with all his heart and soul, and he turned not from the right way all the days of his life. He declined not from the way either to the right or to the left, in which Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob walked. And Moses strengthened himself in the kingdom of the children of Cush, and he guided the children of Cush with his usual wisdom. And Moses prospered in his kingdom. And at the time Aram and the children of the east heard that Kikunus, king of Cush, had died. So Aram and the children of the east rebelled against Cush in those days. And Moses gathered all the children of Cush, a people very mighty, about 30,000 men. And he went forth to fight with Aram and the children of the east. And they went at first to the children of the east. And when the children of the east heard their report, they went to meet him and engaged in battle with them. And the war was severe against the children in the east. So the Lord gave all the children of the east to the hand of Moses. and about 300 men fell down, slain. And all the children of the east turned back and retreated. So Moses and the children of Cush followed them and subdued them, and put a tax upon them, as was their custom. So Moses and all the people with him passed from there to the land of Ephraim for battle. You're in the way, kitty. You're in the way. And the people of Ephraim also went to meet him, and they fought against them. And the Lord delivered them into the hand of Moses. And many of the men of Ephraim fell down wounded, and Ephraim also were subdued by Moses and the people of Cush. And the people of Cush, and also gave their usual tax. And Moses brought Ephraim and the children of the east under subjection to the children of Cush. And Moses and all the people who were with him turned to the land of Cush. And Moses strengthened himself in the kingdom of the children of Cush, and the Lord was with him, and all the children of Cush were afraid of him. So, wow, all right. Yeah, we can keep going. Chapter 74. In the end of the years died Saul, king of Edom, and Baal-Chanan was the son of Achbor, reigned in his place. And in the 16th year of the reign of Moses over Cush, Baal-Chanan, the son of Achbor, reigned in the land of Edom over the children of Edom for 38 years. In his days Moab rebelled against the power of Edom, having been under Edom since the days of Hadad, the son of Bedad, who smote them and Midian, and brought Moab under the subjection to Edom. So, past history that we've kind of read as footnotes, because we know our guys from Genesis, but there we go. And Angeas, the king of Africa, died in those days, and as Drubal, his son, reigned in his stead, and in those days died Janius, king of the children of Chetam, and they buried him in his temple, which he had built for himself, in the plain of Canopia, for a residence, and Latinus reigned in his stead. In the 22nd year of the reign of Moses over the children of Cush, Latinus reigned over the children of Chetam 45 years. And he also built himself a great and mighty tower, and he built therein an elegant temple for his residence to conduct his government, as was the custom. In the 3rd year of his reign, he caused a proclamation to be made to all his skillful men, who made many ships for them. And Latinus assembled all his forces, and they came in ships, and went therein to fight with Asdrubal, king of Angeas, king of Africa. And they came to Africa and engaged in battle with Asdrubal and his army. And Latinus prevailed over Asdrubal, and Latinus took from Asdrubal and the aqueduct which his father had brought from the children of Chetam, when he took Janiah, the daughter of Uzi, for a wife. Remember, she was the one who had health problems, so he's like, oh, maybe you need the land and water from there, and they built that aqueduct. So Latinus overthrew the bridge of the aqueduct and smote the whole army of Asdrubal a severe blow. And the remaining strong men of Asdrubal strengthened themselves, and their hearts were filled with envy, and they courted death, and again engaged in battle with Latinus, king of Chetam. And the battle was severe upon the men of Africa, and they all fell wounded before Latinus and his people. And Asdrubal, the king, also fell in that battle. And the king Asdrubal had a very beautiful daughter, whose name was Ushpizena, and all the men of Africa embroidered her likeness on their garments on account of her great beauty and comely appearance. And the men of Latinus saw Ushpezna, daughter of Asdrubal, and praised her unto Latinus, their king. And Latinus ordered her to be brought to him. And Latinus took Ushpezna for a wife, and he turned back on his way to Chetam. And it was after the death of Asdrubal, the son of Angeas, when Latinus had turned back to his land from battle, that all the inhabitants of Africa rose up and took Anibal, the son of Angeas, the younger brother of Asdrubal, and made him king instead of his brother over the whole land of Africa. And when he reigned, he resolved to go to Chittim to fight with the children of Chittim to avenge the cause of Asdrubal his brother, and the cause of the inhabitants of Africa. And he did so. And he made many ships, and he came therein with his whole army, and he went to Chittim. And Anibal fought with the children of Chittim, and the children of Chittim fell wounded before Anibal and his army, and Anibal avenged his brother's cause. And Anibal continued the war for 18 years with the children of Chittim. And Anibal dwelt in the land of Chittim and encamped there for a long time. And Anibal smote the children of Chittim very seriously, and he slew of their great men and princes, and of the rest of the people he smote about 80,000 men. And at the end of the days and years, Anibal returned to the land of Africa, and he reigned securely in the places of Asdrubal his brother. So there you go. You get invasion, death of a leader, vengeance. Wow. So, again, I think of these stories as a way for them to explain, well, why are things the way they are? Who's gone to what side and why, and who's helped who, and who has defeated who has bad blood between each other. So, I think that's how everything's going. Chapter 75. At that time, in the 180th year of the Israelites going down into Egypt, there went forth from the Egypt valiant men, 30,000 on foot, from the children of Israel, who were all of the tribe of Joseph, of the children of Ephraim, the son of Joseph. For they said, the period was complete which the Lord had appointed to the children of Israel, and in times of old when he had spoken to Abraham. And these men girded themselves, and they put each man his sword at his side, and every man in his armor upon him. And they trusted to their strength. And they went out together from Egypt with a mighty hand. But they brought no provision for the road, only silver and gold, not even bread for that day. And they did bring in their hands, for they thought of getting their provisions for pay from the Philistines. And if not, they would take it by force. And these men were very mighty, valiant men. One man could pursue 1,000, and two could rout 10,000. So they trusted to their strength and went together as they were. And they directed their course toward the land of Gath. And they went down and found the shepherds of Gath feeding the cattle of the children of Gath. And they said to the shepherds, give us some of the sheep for pay, that we may eat, for we are hungry, for we have eaten no bread this day. And the shepherds said, are they our sheep or cattle, that we should give them to you even for pay? So the children of Ephraim approached to take them by force. And the shepherds of Gath shouted over them that their cry was heard at a distance. So all the children of Gath went out to them. And when the children of Gath saw the evil doings of the children of Ephraim, they returned and assembled the men of Gath. And they put on each man his armor and came forth to the children of Ephraim for battle. And they engaged with them in the valley of Gath. And the battle was severe, and they smote from each other a great many on that day. And on the second day the children of Gath sent to all the cities of the Philistines, that they should come to their help, saying, come up unto us, and help us, that we may smite the children of Ephraim, who have come forth from Egypt to take our cattle, and to fight against us without cause. Now the souls of the children of Ephraim were exhausted with hunger and thirst, for they had eaten no bread for 3 days. And 40,000 men went forth from the cities of the Philistines to the assistance of the men of Gath. And these men were engaged in the battle with the children of Ephraim. And the Lord delivered the children of Ephraim into the hands of the Philistines. And they smote all the children of Ephraim, who had all gone forth from Egypt. None were remaining but the 10 men who had run away from the engagement. For this evil was from the Lord against the children of Ephraim, for they transgressed the word of the Lord in going forth from Egypt before the period had arrived, which the Lord, in the days of old, had appointed to Israel. And of the Philistines also there fell great many, about 20,000 men, and their brethren carried them and buried them in their cities. And the slain of the children of Ephraim remained forsaken in the valley of Gath for many days and years, and were not brought to burial. The valley was filled with men's bones. And the men who had escaped from the battle came to Egypt, and told the children of Israel all that had befallen them. And their father Ephraim mourned over them many days, and his brethren came to console him. And he came unto his wife, and she bare a son, and he called his name Beriah, for she was unfortunate in his house. The explanation of the name. All right, I think I'm going to stop here for the day, because the next one's going to be huge. Now, I thought the children of Israel were in bondage like 400 years. And so this is the 108th year. They've got like 300 years left, and Moses isn't living that long, so what is going on? How long were the children of Israel in bondage? So, Lord appears to Moses in the burning bush on 3. He kept the flock of Jethro. So, in the Book of Jasher here, he's like the king of Kush. He's going to give that up to be a shepherd for Jethro. How? How's that supposed to be? All right. How long were the children of Israel in captivity before Moses delivered them? So, according to this, there's 2 primary interpretations. 215 years. This view holds that the 430-year period mentioned in Exodus and Galatians began with God's covenant with Abraham, not when Jacob entered Egypt. Since approximately 215 years passed between the Abrahamic covenant and the Israelites' entry into Egypt, they dwelt there for only 215 years. This interpretation is supported by traditional rabbinic sources, such as Rashi and some modern Egyptologists like Dr. David Roll, who argue that the genealogical timeline only accommodates a shorter sojourn. The other is 430 years. This view interprets Exodus 12:40 literally as the duration of Israelites' specific sojourn in Egypt. Proponents of this long sojourn theory argue that the text specifically states the children of Israel dwelt in Egypt for 430 years. Reconciling this with biblical genealogies through the abbreviated lineage records or alternative chronological models. Genesis 15:13 mentions a prophecy that Abraham's offspring would be afflicted and enslaved for 400 years, a figure often associated with the total period of the sojourn and affliction prior to Egypt. So, there you go. You got 2 varying sources. 215 and for being in Egypt, and 430. Now, considering the Book of Jasher comes from the rabbinical sources, I'm thinking that it's going to be these shorter span. Now, what I don't get is, why is it so wildly different from Genesis, where it seems pretty odd, like the Genesis account that we're so familiar with because of the aforementioned movies in our zeitgeist, 10 Commandments with Charlton Heston and Prince of Egypt, the cartoon version from DreamWorks. It basically just shows that, Moses is exiled and runs away. Well, in both movies, in the first movie, 10 Commandments with Charlton Heston, he's exiled on purpose. And which is really great for the drama of the show. I mean, holy cow. You want the good, deep cut drama. It's going to be the first half of the 10 Commandments. If you want the spectacle, it's the second half. It's just really kind of amazing. But, so let's see here. He sought to slay Moses. Moses fled from the face of Pharaoh and dwelt in the land of Midian. And then there was the daughters, shepherds came, drove them away, but Moses stood up and helped them and watered their flock. So yeah, like, the movies follow this better, but I can't remember in Prince of Egypt, I think he was also banished. But the thing is that in this, he just runs away, right? He just knows Pharaoh is going to try and kill him, and so he runs. Not as cool or as epic for the storylines when it comes to the 10 Commandments with Charlton Heston. But, yeah, Moses, I think he was banished in Prince of Egypt. I need to rewatch Prince of Egypt now. Oh well. But yeah, the idea of him being king of Kush, I'm really curious. Like, how is he going to go from being a king to then just being a shepherd for Jethro, the Midianite, to then get his wife there? You know, I get that it shows the ability of Moses to reign like a king, but I just don't understand it. This is total new information for me, and it's causing me consternation, because I'm trying to figure out, like, well, I guess I have to read the rest of the Book of Jasher to see, okay, here's how they explain it. But I do appreciate that they point out his idea of, hey, you know, don't take wives from this area is kind of consistent with the culture of that. I know for a lot of people, and for a long time, the idea of, hey, don't marry out, what they would say, don't marry outside the covenant, or don't marry outside the religious belief, that kind of thing, was very important. And there's good reason for it. Because if you look, okay, sneak peek later on, like if you look at Solomon, I mean, we're reading in the Old Testament, we're in like 2 Kings now. So if you remember, Solomon, when he had all those wives pulled him away from worshiping the God of Israel. And because of that, the kingdom was destroyed. And it was split between the northern lands of Israel and the 10 tribes, and then the kingdom of Judah. So, yeah. There's specific wisdom in the idea of you want to marry into or with somebody who shares the same value system as you. Because if you don't, you will try to appease the other person one way or another. And it tends to be whoever you're trying to appease. Most of the time, it tends to whatever is the easier thing to do, right? So if you're religious and then your spouse isn't religious, it's easier to go the, well, whatever, non-religious way. It's not always the case, but it's more common because it's the path of least resistance. Because you could have marriage in one direction where, okay, someone's religious, someone isn't religious, but then the religious one stays stronger, very strong, and so the non-religious person actually eventually comes around to being religious. There's plenty of that too, but I just find that I tend to think of that to be more rare, because having a disproportionate spirituality makes it very hard. It's easier to backslide and let things go instead of be and stay religious. And yeah, so it's important to keep that in mind. Now, the other hard part is when you marry somebody that you think is going to be strong and stay strong religiously, and then they change or fade away from their beliefs, because you end up with that same unequal yoking, and you either stay strong or not. And it's not easy either way, because especially if you're convicted of the desire to serve God when everything else tries to take away from that. It becomes a very big slog, and not easy by any means. But it's worthwhile. And hopefully it continues to stay worthwhile for you and for anyone who's listening and reflecting on these things. I hope God is able to do the miracles you need in your life, that He's able to strengthen you in the ways that you need. Until we speak again, may God be with you. We'll see you.